Hello, it's me, Ivan. Many of you know me as the helpful Mexican Ivan, or Ivan from the other dimension, but today I'm not going to bring you a sarcastic comment or leading this into a punchline to make a joke or something like that. And whenever I'm not recording videos for YouTube, I edit video for a living. Many of you know that. And as a video editor, I consider myself an artist. As much as every single other person in the movie industry, we're artists. And recently I came across an interview made to Joaquin Phoenix for the Joker movie that kind of angered me.
During the conversation, Colin asked Phoenix if he was worried that his performance might inspire real-world copycat killers. The question apparently took Phoenix by surprise, causing the actor to briefly walk out of the interview.
There's been this censoring going on, not necessarily inherent to this interview, but it's been just a trend that every time a movie comes out, and I'm talking specifically about movies because that's what I do. When a movie comes out that has a strong message, or it dares to defy the points of view of society, or what's happening in society, or what could happen, or an imaginary world, it doesn't matter. There's been a constant censoring of it, just because they want to bubble the problem and blame it on something other than the people that caused the problem.
When I put it to him, aren't you worried that this film might perversely end up inspiring exactly the kind of people it's about, with potentially tragic results? Phoenix reportedly replied, "Why? Why would you? No. No." According to Colin, Phoenix then stood up, shook his hand, and left the interview.
Then movies come out like this one, and the Joker had to be recut and eliminated a part of the movie just to not bring back bad memories of a mass shooting that happened or something like that. And now they want to censor the movie even more. And enough is enough.
It's a question that many critics are already asking. Though most reviewers gave Joker high marks after its worldwide debut at the Venice International Film Festival on October 31st, 2019, more than one also suggested that the film may send a dangerous message and give viewers the wrong idea about avenging their own personal grievances.
As an artist, I create art, and the Joker movie is art. It's a movie, it's an expression of art. Yes, Grown Ups 2 by Adam Sandler, it's also art. You can decide whether it's good or bad, but at the end of the day, it's still art. Why is one censored over the other?
In part, there are many that think that the story of a man who sees himself as an outcast descending into violence looks a little bit too familiar to those who perpetrate mass killings today. With some also saying that this film not only starts to glorify this violence, but also asks the audience to begin to sympathize with its creator.
There's this argument that the Joker is too relatable, and that has been a point that has been said for almost 2 months now, that they don't like the fact that you can root for the villain.
Vanity Fair critic Richard Lawson wondered in his review of Joker whether the film, quote, may be irresponsible propaganda for the very men it pathologizes.
And again, talking about art, we're talking about expressing, and we're talking about view, we're talking about perspective. And guess what? Not just because this fictional character is relatable, it means that every single other villain means that they're relatable. It's not a matter of yes and no, it's a matter of in between. And here we have an expression of art that is giving us a very disturbed character that we can relate to, we can understand, and we can see a journey in this fictional world.
When we learned that Warner Brothers was releasing a movie called Joker that presents the character as a protagonist with a sympathetic origin story, it gave us pause. We want to be clear that we support your right to free speech and free expression, but as anyone who has ever seen a comic book movie can tell you, with great power comes great responsibility. That's why we're calling on you to use your massive platform and influence to join us in our fight to build safer communities with fewer guns.
Anyone that wants to do a heinous act in the name of something, it's because they were just looking for the excuse to do it. not because the movie made him to.
Was published yesterday, the film's writer and director Todd Phillips defended the film's meaning, saying, "The movie makes statements about a lack of love, childhood trauma, lack of compassion in the world. I think people can handle that message." And Phoenix has also backed the film up by saying, "Well, I think that for most of us, you're able to tell the difference between right and wrong, and those that aren't are capable of interpreting anything in the way that they may want to. People misinterpret lyrics from songs, they misinterpret passages from books, so I don't think it's the responsibility of a filmmaker to teach the audience morality or the difference between right or wrong. I mean, to me, I think that that's obvious."
Pretty clear that if the real surge in video games, which would include violent video games, occurred between the mid-90s and 2010, well, if they're influencing people to commit more violence in real life, then crime statistics should show similar growth during those same periods. But when you look at the data, that's the opposite of what's happened. The murder rate in the United States actually hits its peak in 1980.
But the problem is not the movie, it's the censoring of the movie. And this escalating problem that I see that directly affects me. Because I know other artists that they cannot now create art that defies your expectations, that challenges your view, that makes you feel uncomfortable, that makes you feel something. In today's society, we don't feel anything anymore because everything's so cuddled. Everything has to be PC, everything has to be correct, everything has to be on the table, nice and smooth, with just the perfect right angle and the perfect temperature. Everyone is avoiding being uncomfortable.
And as for the criticism the movie received for its portrayal of violence, Phoenix didn't think it was such a bad thing.
I think it's really good when movies make us uncomfortable or challenge us or make us think differently. So I think I'm pleased about that part. That's how I felt making it.
Art has always been there to make us feel something. Not just because it makes you feel great means it's good art. Not just because it makes you feel sad means it's bad art. Art is just art. You make it whatever you want it to be. But there's one thing that is consistent, that I totally believe, and I'm sure every other artist is going to agree with me, that art cannot be censored. Just think of all the great stories waiting to be told, all the paintings waiting to be painted, all the songs waiting to be written. That because of this consistent, increasingly consistent censorship, and just let's change everything to fit this imaginary mold where everyone's going to be pleased, well, freaking wake up! No one is ever going to be 100% satisfied.
Things that I read about certain people that filled me with a fury and an anger towards them. And then as I would dig deeper into their lives and get into some of the trauma they experienced as children, my feelings would suddenly change.
And I am not saying that a mass shooting is comparable to being called a wetback or a beaner out on the street. But I understand your pain. I've had friends that have been killed, but not by mass shootings here in the US, but cartels in Mexico. And I can assure you, those cartel people, they didn't watch John Wick and said, oh, let's do that. They said, I want money, and I have no sympathy to take someone's life. And these people that caused this awful tragedy, it's not because they watched a movie and decided out of the blue, you know what, I'm a bad guy now. There was always something wrong in them.
Colin himself tweeted after watching Joker at the Venice Film Festival that he thinks the movie is good, but he's, quote, worried someone's going to get killed because of it.
So how about, instead of blaming art, you start blaming the people that actually caused the problem? I'm talking as an artist that creates art, that his sole intent is for one day for someone to watch it, something that I've done, and feel something. I don't know about you, but just being an ignorant blob that feels nothing because everything is just cuddled to the perception of what I want things to be doesn't sound that great. Or should I dare to say, it just feels wrong.
Hey everyone, it's Jeremy from geeksandgamers.com, and if you're a fan of Geeks and Gamers, please go to our website, visit our merchandise store. We have t-shirts, hoodies, hats, beanies, tank tops, and in the very near future, we're going to have many more products for you to choose from. So thank you for the support. We appreciate it. You guys have a great day, and we will talk to you later.